What if the greatest freedom you'll ever experience comes the moment you stop trying to make everyone like you? The answer may completely shift how you approach relationships, self-worth, and success, and we'll uncover it together at the end of this video. From the time we are children, we are taught, directly or indirectly, that approval is currency. Be polite, be agreeable, be liked. Fit in, please others, don't make waves. And while these teachings may help us navigate social norms, they also plant the seeds of one of the most mentally and emotionally draining behaviors of all, people-pleasing. It begins subtly, laughing at a joke we don't find funny, saying yes when we mean no, staying quiet when our instincts scream otherwise. Over time, this becomes a pattern, a life lived for others, driven by the fear of judgment and the addiction to validation. The Stoics would call this a form of slavery, not a physical one, but a mental one. Because the moment your peace depends on how others perceive you, you are no longer free. You've handed over control of your emotional life to opinions that change like the wind. The Stoics, on the other hand, taught that true freedom lies in living according to your own principles, not someone else's expectations. To act with virtue, regardless of applause or criticism. To be guided by inner clarity rather than outer noise. But why is it so hard to stop pleasing everyone? Because deep down, we confuse being liked with being safe. Our brains are wired to seek belonging. It's an ancient survival mechanism. Rejection used to mean exile, and exile used to mean death. But today, rejection is emotional, not existential. Yet we still treat it as if it's the end of the world. We bend ourselves to fit molds we don't even agree with. We tolerate disrespect just to avoid confrontation. We shrink our truth to make others comfortable, and in doing so, we slowly disappear from our own lives. What the Stoics understood is that peace doesn't come from being agreeable, it comes from being aligned. Aligned with truth, with purpose, with values that don't shift depending on who's watching. When you constantly seek approval, you become fragmented. You say one thing, feel another, and act in contradiction to both. That dissonance creates anxiety, resentment, and confusion. But when you act from a place of inner conviction, you become whole. You don't need everyone to agree with you because you're no longer dependent on agreement to validate your existence. This doesn't mean becoming rude or indifferent. Stoicism isn't about emotional detachment. It's about emotional clarity. It means you can respect others without needing their approval. You can be kind without becoming a doormat. You can say no without guilt. The Stoic learns to be generous with their actions, but firm with their boundaries. And that's the key, boundaries. Most people who struggle with people-pleasing do so because they haven't learned to set boundaries, or they believe boundaries are selfish. But boundaries are not walls. They are doors you choose when and how to open. Silence plays a powerful role here. Because when you stop explaining yourself, stop over-justifying your decisions, and stop seeking constant reassurance, you reclaim your energy. You start realizing that you don't owe everyone an explanation for choosing peace. You begin to move in silence, not to hide, but to protect your focus and dignity. The Stoic embraces silence not as weakness, but as wisdom. The less you say, the more you observe. The more you observe, the clearer your path becomes. And yes, letting go of the need to please will feel uncomfortable at first, because you will lose people. People who only valued your compliance. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries. People who loved the version of you that prioritized them over yourself. But the truth is, what you lose in people, you gain in peace. And the people meant to walk with you won't require you to abandon yourself in the process. The world rewards authenticity, but only once you've made peace with being misunderstood. That's the paradox. If you try to please everyone, you dilute your essence until there's nothing left. But if you stand firm in who you are, you may lose a few followers, but you'll gain your soul. And that's a trade worth making. In practical terms, this means learning to pause before saying yes. Asking yourself, am I doing this from love or from fear? It means learning to say, "That doesn't work for me," without guilt. It means resisting the urge to overshare just to be seen. And above all, it means realizing that your worth is not up for negotiation. You are not more valuable when others agree with you. You are not less valuable when they don't. One of the most powerful Stoic exercises is to ask, what would I do if no one were watching? What decision would I make if I knew no one would praise or criticize me for it? That's where your real compass lies, not in applause, but in alignment. The more you build your life around inner approval, the less you'll chase it outside yourself. Now, let's go back to the question we began with. What if the greatest freedom you'll ever experience comes the moment you stop trying to make everyone like you? Here's the answer. It does. That moment, when you stop adjusting your truth to earn temporary validation, is the beginning of real strength. The day you realize that not everyone will understand you and that it's not your job to make them, this is the day you become free. Freedom doesn't look like being adored by the crowd. It looks like waking up in the morning and knowing you don't have to perform for anyone to feel worthy. It looks like protecting your peace even if others don't understand your silence. It looks like walking away from situations where your value is questioned and never looking back. It looks like being disliked by a few, but respected by yourself. And so, I leave you with this. If your peace costs the comfort of others, let it. If your truth offends those who benefited from your silence, so be it. If your growth threatens those who preferred the smaller version of you, let them go. The Stoic path is not about gaining popularity, it's about gaining inner power. And that begins when you stop seeking to be liked and start choosing to be whole.